Hi everyone, you ready to do a little crafting? My name is Lori, my nickname is Reenie, and I'd like to welcome you to Reenie Bobini Creations. If it's the first time you've checked out my channel, I'd like to offer you a really warm welcome. I hope you enjoy what you see and it inspires you. To my subscribers, love you guys, thanks for coming back again. So we're still working on that Halloween theme, and I think you're really going to like what I have for you today. It's so much fun to make and it turned out super cute. So this little plaque with our little ghouls and ghosts off it, it was really fun to make. So I'm going to stop yakking at you and we'll get on with the crafting. Okay, so I didn't sand it down a whole lot. I kind of wanted it a bit rough. I'm going to end up hiding some of this anyway. But because it's a little, it's not bad, but because it's a little bit rougher, I'm going to use this as opposed to a sponge brush. So I'm just, like I said, going to give the whole thing a coat of black paint. And I am going to do the edges too. Alright, so this is, I just see a couple of wet spots here, but I'm just going to, now that it's dry, I'm going to use my crackle medium and put a good coat on there. I'm going to let it dry completely. You can do it while it's still semi-wet. If you do that, the cracks tend to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to have the cracks a bit smaller in this one. I'm just going for a bit of an effect rather than big flakes of it, I guess is what I'm saying. So once I get it all covered, we'll set it aside to dry, and when it's dry, we'll go on to the next section. Alright, so our plaque is all black, of course, and now we've got that crackle medium is all dry on there. And so now I'm gonna use our pumpkin orange paint, at least I think that's what it's called, pure pumpkin, and we're gonna go over top in the pumpkin paint. And orange is my favorite color anyway, and Halloween, like, I just love it, love it, love it, love it. So I'll just show you a few tricks when you're using the crackle and you're painting over it. Now the thing with crackle is you don't want to go over your paint. Like, you don't want to do several brush strokes. You want to do as few as possible because it does start to crack very quickly. And so when that happens, and I will purposely make a mistake so that I can show you how to fix it, as it starts to crack, if you go over your paint too many times, you will start to pull it off. Now if that happens, now you can see I pulled some off there, but not enough. I'm good with that. But if that happens and you end up with a bald spot, you can see how it's kind of thin up there where I keep going over it. You don't want to try and fix it while your paint's wet. You're going to wait for it to dry, and then you can go back in and just touch up those few areas. If you try and do it wet, you're just going to pull off more paint. So I always suggest, if that happens, and it often does, just wait for it to be completely dry before you do your touch-ups. So I'm going to do a spot where I know my sign, my little EEK sign is going to hide it, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I go down the middle here, and you can see already how quickly that's crackling. So if I go down the middle and then I come back a couple of times, actually, now that I want to show you, yeah, you can see right there, see? It pulls right off. So, and sometimes it works really well with the look and you don't need to touch it up at all, it just works. But if you find a spot that's gotten a little bit too bare, you've pulled off too much, like I said, just wait for it to dry and then you can go touch it up again. And it will still crackle. So while we're waiting for our little orange crackle sign to dry, we're going to carry on here. So I've got these things have just been in my stash. I know they have the wood pieces that are very similar at Walmart, or sorry, well yeah, Walmart or the dollar stores or whatever. But we're gonna give these a bit of a makeover to match our thing better. And you will need some wire. So I did fill the little holes in my ghosty, and I'm gonna get rid of this, or try to get rid of this sparkle on our pumpkin. If I can't get it off, I'll just turn them over. But I want, like, you can feel it's kind of raised, and I kind of wouldn't mind if that part stayed. So we'll see how we do. Well, I think that's as good as I'm going to get those sparkles off without getting rid of the ridges that I'm kind of hoping to keep. So we're going to paint over it and hope it works out okay. That's what we're doing. So I've just got this. It's called Pure Pumpkin. And so we're just going to give our little pumpkin, obviously, a coat of that. And because I'm just doing the one, I'm just going to do right over it. And I will probably need at least 2 coats, maybe even 3, to hide everything. As I said, I could do it on the back, and that was my original plan, but I kind of like how where the sparkles are glued on, the glue kind of sticks up a bit and gives it some dimension, and I kind of like that, so I'm hoping I can just go over it okay. Oh yeah, that's going to work out just fine. So while I let my first coat of that dry, of course we are going to use the white for our ghost. Ooh, I'm running low on white paint. Actually, I'm going to use the chalk paint on this. Alright, so we're going to let him dry. I'm thinking the one coat might just do it on him too. So we'll set those guys aside to dry, and then when they're dry and I get my second coat on my pumpkin, we'll come back and decorate them up. And hopefully by then it'll be just about time to put everything together. Okay, so carrying on here, they're all dry, so I'm just going to do, actually I'm going to do this stem first. I don't want it to be that green. So I'm going to use my chalk paint in the color, what is it? Spanish moss. But use, again, whatever suits you, whatever you've got in your stash. Oh, isn't that perfect? Well, then we'll just do that. Didn't see that going that way. Okay, so I'm just going to, like I said, just give it a little bit here so it's not, it just matches better in my opinion. All right, and then I'm just going to do a little bit of shading on the pumpkin, and then we'll paint some faces on here too. So for the shading, I'm not even going to be very fancy about it. I'm just going to dip the corner of my brush in my brown paint, and then I'm just going to kind of go around the top here, which I did not wait to dry because I'm being impatient. And take some of that paint off. All right, now that will only take a second to dry. And I think for our ghost, I think what we'll do, it'll be the easiest, is to just use some Sharpie rather than dig out the paint and everything else. So I'm just going to give him some funky eyes. And a mouth. And I'm not going to do much else with him, I don't think. I think I just lied. I think I want to go around the edges and just do a little dry brushing on him too. Just to give him a little more depth. So I'm just, similar sort of thing, I'm just gonna dry my brush off. Oh, I've got some paint still here, so I'm gonna pick up my paint, then I'm gonna wipe most of it off again. And then I'm just gonna go around the edges. And there he is. And so now our pumpkin is dry, so we'll do a jack-o'-lantern face on him too. Oops, I'm looking for the wrong thing. And again, I'm just going to use the Sharpie on this little pumpkin too. So there's our little pumpkin. And now it's time to start putting our guy together here. So to start with, I want our EEK sign sort of elevated. So I've just got a couple of these little squares, which I got, oh my goodness. Okay, as I was saying, I have these little cubes. So I'm just gonna glue them. This one is apparently being recycled from something. To the back of the EEK sign. So when I glue him on, he's going to kind of be lifted off, and that'll give us some dimension. So while my glue gun's heating up, the next thing we're going to do is add some wire to these guys. Now I've got 2 different kinds of wire. This one I'm going to try and use for the guys if I have enough. And the thicker wire I will use as the hanger when we're done here. So to start, I'm just going to clip this, I think, in half actually, I think. And then we're going to, I think, let me just see how we're gonna. Yeah, I think we'll do it that way. So I'm gonna just take the end of anything round and wrap it around a few times to give it sort of that springy look. Just something like that. And you can play with it till you get it how you want it. And then we're going to attach our ghost. I think we'll give him a couple more actually. There. So we're going to attach our ghost. And the way we're going to do that is, yes, we're going to use hot glue, but we're also going to use some of this felt. And the felt is going to help keep it in place with the glue. So I'm just waiting for my hot glue gun to heat up. It's going to take just a minute here, but while we're doing that, let's cut some. So I'm just going to, and we're going to do that for the hanger as well. Two for the ghost, 2 for the pumpkin, and then we'll have 2 for our hanger at the end here. So let's just see if we are heated up enough. So I want that one sort of there. So we'll take our hot glue, hopefully it's ready. And I'm going to be pretty generous, as you can see, with it. And then I'm just going to squeak this over it and smush it down. And then we'll do the same to our ghost. And this is the part where, you know, if you need to smush it a bit or whatever you need to do to keep them in place, squishing everything. And we'll do the same. And of course we can always bend our wire or whatever where we're going to want it when we're done. And we can tuck more hot glue under there. I'm just wanting to get it really down there first. And I found this is to be a really good way to anything, like even if I'm doing a string or a twine holder, I will do this method. It would probably hold without it, but I just feel like it's a little bit more secure. It'll stay where you want it, and it's not so bad about coming off. So when you hang it, now there's our little ghost, and he's hanging off. Now, of course, he's going to be all over the place at the moment, but when you hang him on the wall, he will stay put. So we're going to do that with our little pumpkin too. So let's just see where we want our little pumpkin. For our cat, I don't know what I was thinking. I did it wrong. Anyway, we're doing it right this time. So we're going to take our popsicle stick and cut it to the length of the cat. And a good pair of scissors, or let's just trim that right from there. I'm just going to get a pen, a pencil or something, and mark it. And I'm probably just going to go just a bit below my line. That one didn't work very well. Okay. So I'm just going to use hot glue. Probably it would be better if you used wood glue, but I'm going to be saving some time here, so I'm not going to. So I'm just going to run a bead of hot glue right along the edge of our cat, and then when you put your popsicle stick on, you're only going to put them on halfway, so half of it is still sticking out like that. And once your hot glue is dry, which will only take a minute, you're going to run a bead either on your board or on your stick, butt him up, and attach him that way. If I feel like he's not going to hold real well, I'm going to do the same trick with the felt, which I think I just might do. I feel like he's not going to stay real well. So I'm just going to cut another little piece of felt. I'm going to do like a zigzag sort of. I used a bigger piece, but that's okay. Actually, I think I will. And then I'm going to lay it on the cat and on the thing, and that should help hold him in place just fine. Okay, and I think I'm going to twirl him around and give him a bit of a curly cue as well, so I'm going to take a little bit more than I need for a hanger. And there we go. And then doing the same thing, let me get some of this mess out of the way here. Doing the same thing, I'm going to twirl him around my and that's going to give him a bit of a curl at the top, which I think looks really cool, so we're going to do that, but that's entirely up to you. And then we're going to do the same thing as far as the hanger goes. We're going to glue it. And I'm going to make it a little bit longer because I am going to put a ribbon on it, so I want room for that ribbon. Let's just straighten it out a bit. We're all more or less good here. So we'll flip them back over. And we'll put our EEK all back on. Oh, blue strings. So I'm just going to start by putting them, now with these, sort of make sure they're the same because they came from the Dollarama and often they are a little bit different. They should be good. And from gluing him here and onto the sign, I'm going to get a couple more obviously for my ease, but then I'm going to use wood glue as opposed to the hot glue. Reason being is it gives me a little bit more time to play with it and make sure I get it centered and where I want it. So let me grab some more of those cubes. We'll just put one right there. Right there. All right. So now I'm just going to come in with my good old Gorilla Glue, and I'm going to paint the ends of those with the Gorilla Glue, and that just gives me, like I said, a little bit of time to move it around. If you use the hot glue, it's pretty much, once it's on there, and you don't get a lot of time to move it around, and I just didn't want to get it all crooked or something and not be able to fix it or have. Now we're going to flip them over. And I'm going to kind of put them closer to the bottom because, like I said, I want to put a ribbon on here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to take this out of our way for the moment. Okay, we're back to do our bow, and how perfect are these ribbons? This one, oh yeah, love this, love, love, love. So, we're just gonna make a big old bow. You can use pipe cleaner, you can use another piece of little ribbon, you can use twine, you can use whatever works in your world, put it together. Zip ties, all that stuff works. So I'm just going to start by getting, I don't know, let's see. Yeah, I think that's good. And I'm going to get about the same amount of all of them here. I'm just going to fold it over on itself. And I usually like to clip it just center, just beyond center, so when you actually go to wrap it, there's something to wrap in the center. And then this one, I just decided to keep it a bit smaller. I just wanted that little bit of contrast with the green in there. So I'm going to start with the big pumpkin one. I'll make them a bit smaller just because of the size of our thing here. Like I said, you're just going to flip them over on himself. And then I'm going to bunch them in the middle. Now some people like to cut the little V, which is great. You can do that, but like I said, sometimes I end up taking things apart later on. And I don't always want them to have the cut in it. So I don't do that, but by all means, if that works for you in your world. And then I'm just sort of going to start fluffing them out just a little bit. We'll worry more about it after, but that'll get us started. So then I'm going to do the black one because I want this diamond one in the middle. So again, just going to bunch them up. Going to add them to our other one. Take that pipe cleaner again and just wrap it around and twist it. Just get them good and tight. There we go. And then for our last one, same thing. There we go. Again, pinch him in the middle. And I kind of want him out front, so I think I'm going to flip him this way. And I'm going to do it as tight as I can so they stay good and together. Okay, and now I'm going to start fluffing and arranging and playing with the bow until I get it just how I want it to look. No, I think I like them just like that. So I'm going to take my last little piece that I cut for of my felt to keep things on, and that's how I'm going to attach this bow. I'm just going to put some hot glue. I think I'm going to actually put the hot glue right on the felt here, just because I think it's going to be easier for me to maneuver without moving my sign around too much. So I can't show you this bit very well, but I think you get the idea from everything else we did. Once my EEK sign is good and dry, I'll get some better pictures of it and you can see the finished product.